Stoicism is powerful. It builds resilience, sharpens discipline, and strengthens the mind. But today, many people reduce it to motivational quotes and aesthetic edits. They treat it like a quick self-help fix instead of a lifelong philosophy. And that is exactly where the problem begins. Stoicism was never meant to be a shortcut to success. It was never designed to make you feel good in the moment. It was built to make you stronger in the long run. When you treat it like modern self-help, you miss its depth, its structure, and its true purpose. Self-help culture focuses on rapid transformation. It promises fast results, visible change, and constant progress. Stoicism, on the other hand, demands patience. It demands inner work that no one applauds. It demands silent battles that only you will ever see. When someone expects quick rewards, they get disappointed. Then they say Stoicism does not work. Many people use Stoicism to suppress emotions. They think being Stoic means never feeling pain, never expressing sadness, and never reacting. That is a misunderstanding. Stoicism teaches emotional control, not emotional denial. When you bottle everything up, you do not become strong. You become disconnected. Another reason Stoicism fails when treated like self-help is that people use it only when life hurts. They watch a few videos after heartbreak. They read quotes after rejection. They try to numb themselves with, "I don't care," energy. But Stoicism is not a shield you pick up only in emergencies. It is a discipline you practice daily, even when life is calm. Self-help often centers around external success. More money, more attention, more status. Stoicism centers around character, integrity, virtue, self-mastery. If your goal is only external gain, Stoicism will frustrate you because it constantly redirects you inward. Stoicism requires responsibility. It forces you to look at your own weaknesses without excuses. Modern self-help sometimes allows blame. It says the world is against you. Stoicism says you are responsible for your response. That level of accountability is uncomfortable, and many people quit because of it. When Stoicism becomes an aesthetic, it loses its substance. Dark quotes, cold expressions, no emotions, attitudes. That is not Stoicism. That is branding. Real Stoicism is humble. It is quiet. It does not need to prove anything to anyone. Another mistake people make is using Stoicism to avoid growth. They say, "I cannot control it, so I will not try." That is laziness disguised as philosophy. Stoicism teaches you to focus on what you can control and act on it with excellence. It does not teach passivity. Stoicism also fails when people separate it from action. Reading philosophy is easy. Living it is hard. You cannot consume wisdom without practicing it without action. Stoicism becomes entertainment instead of transformation. Many expect Stoicism to remove pain. It does not. Pain is part of life. What Stoicism offers is strength within pain. It does not erase storms. It teaches you how to stand in them without collapsing. Self-help often encourages constant motivation. Stoicism prepares you for days when motivation disappears. It builds discipline instead of hype. And discipline is not exciting. It is repetitive. It is boring. But it is powerful. When you treat Stoicism as content instead of commitment, you stay the same. You collect quotes but do not change habits. You share posts but do not build character. You speak about resilience but avoid discomfort. Stoicism requires reflection. Deep, honest reflection. It forces you to examine your thoughts, your reactions, your impulses. That is not comfortable. Self-help often skips this part and jumps straight to positive thinking. Stoicism goes deeper. Another reason it fails is ego. People want to feel superior because they do not care. But Stoicism is not about superiority. It is about self-control. If your calmness is just pride in disguise, you have misunderstood the philosophy. True Stoicism requires consistency. It is practiced in traffic, in arguments, in failure, in success. It is not reserved for dramatic life moments. It is a daily standard. When you only use Stoicism to appear unbothered, you lose its moral core. Stoicism is rooted in virtue, justice, courage, wisdom, temperance. Without these, it becomes empty toughness. Self-help often asks, how can I win? Stoicism asks, how can I be virtuous? That shift changes everything. One focuses on outcome, the other focuses on character. Stoicism also demands patience with progress. You will fail. You will react emotionally sometimes. You will lose control. The philosophy is not about perfection. It is about returning to discipline again and again. Many quit because Stoicism feels slow. There is no dramatic blow-up, no overnight transformation. Just gradual strengthening of the mind. And in a world addicted to speed, that feels boring. But boring is powerful. Quiet growth is powerful. Invisible discipline is powerful. If you want Stoicism to work, stop treating it like motivational therapy. Stop using it to escape emotions. Stop using it to look cold instead. Study it, practice it, reflect daily. Take responsibility. Live by virtue. Stoicism is not self-help. It is self-mastery. If this message challenged your thinking, then you are exactly the kind of person this channel is built for. Here, we go beyond surface-level motivation. We break down hard truths. We build discipline. We sharpen the mind. Subscribe to this channel for more deep, practical Stoic lessons that will strengthen your mindset and transform the way you approach life. Growth is not loud. Strength is not flashy. But discipline changes everything. Most people don't fail at Stoicism because it is weak. They fail because they approach it with the wrong expectations. They approach it the way they approach productivity hacks, morning routines, or motivational speeches. They want results without reconstruction. But Stoicism is reconstruction. Self-help often promises confidence. Stoicism demands humility first. Before you become strong, you must admit how reactive, emotional, and impulsive you truly are. That level of honesty bruises the ego many people would rather feel inspired than exposed. Another reason Stoicism fails is selective practice. People apply it only to situations where it is convenient. They stay calm in small inconveniences but explode when their pride is touched. Stoicism is tested where your ego feels attacked. If you only practice it when it is easy, you are not practicing it at all. Stoicism also fails when it becomes emotional armor. Some people use it to avoid vulnerability. They say they are detached, but in reality they are afraid of being hurt. Stoicism teaches emotional strength, not emotional isolation. There is a difference between being in control and being closed off. Many treat Stoicism as a personality instead of a principle. They try to look serious, distant, untouchable. But Stoicism is not about how you look. It is about how you respond. You can smile, laugh, love deeply, and still be stoic. It is about mastery, not mood. Another mistake is misunderstanding acceptance. Acceptance does not mean approval. Accepting reality means seeing it clearly, not agreeing with injustice or weakness. When people confuse acceptance with passivity, they become stagnant. Stoicism also fails when people ignore its moral responsibility. The philosophy is not just about personal peace. It is about being useful to society. It teaches you to contribute, to act justly, to support others. When it becomes only about my peace and my focus, it turns selfish. Some people approach Stoicism only to become mentally tougher than others. They want superiority. They want to feel emotionally above everyone. That mindset contradicts the core of Stoicism, which emphasizes wisdom and fairness, not dominance. Another reason it fails is lack of self-examination. Stoicism requires journaling, reflection, and constant correction. If you never analyze your reactions, you repeat them. Philosophy without reflection becomes empty repetition. People also misuse Stoicism to tolerate unhealthy situations. They say they are enduring, but they are actually avoiding necessary change. Stoicism teaches courage. Courage sometimes means walking away, speaking up, or taking action, not silently suffering forever. Stoicism fails when people expect it to remove ambition. It does not teach you to stop striving. It teaches you to strive without attachment to outcomes. That balance is difficult. Many either become obsessed with results or completely indifferent to effort. Another hidden reason for failure is inconsistency during success. When life improves, discipline fades. Calmness disappears when ego grows. Stoicism is not only for hardship. It is equally important during victory. Some treat Stoicism as intellectual entertainment. They enjoy the ideas, the quotes, the debates, but they never apply them during real conflict. Wisdom that stays in theory is powerless. Stoicism also challenges your excuses. It removes the comfort of blaming circumstances. It forces you to admit that while you cannot control events, you control your response. That level of responsibility is heavy, and many drop it. Another reason it fails is emotional impulsiveness in private. Publicly, someone may appear composed. Privately, they're consumed by anger, envy, or resentment. Stoicism is not performance. It is internal discipline. People also forget that Stoicism requires patience with others. It teaches understanding of human nature. Everyone struggles. Everyone reacts emotionally sometimes. If Stoicism makes you harsh toward others, you are missing its wisdom. It fails when people use it to suppress joy. Some think being Stoic means being serious at all times. But Stoicism does not forbid happiness. It teaches you not to depend on external things for happiness. You can enjoy life without clinging to it. Another mistake is ignoring daily practice. Stoicism is built on small habits. Morning intention, evening reflection, controlled speech, measured reactions. Without daily repetition, it fades quickly. Stoicism also fails when someone seeks validation for being disciplined. True discipline does not require applause. If you need recognition for your self-control, your focus is still external. Some expect Stoicism to eliminate fear. It does not. It trains you to act despite fear. Courage is not absence of fear. It is control over it. It fails when people mistake emotional numbness for strength. Numbness is avoidance. Strength is awareness combined with control. Another reason is lack of long-term vision. Stoicism shapes character over years, not days. When someone quits after a short time because they feel unchanged, they misunderstand the process. Stoicism also exposes comfort addiction. It pushes you toward voluntary discomfort. Waking up early, training discipline, practicing restraint. Self-help often focuses on convenience. Stoicism respects hardship. It fails when people detach from responsibility in relationships. Being Stoic does not mean ignoring loved ones. It means loving without possessiveness and leading with stability. Another mistake is misunderstanding control. Stoicism divides what you can control and what you cannot. Many know this concept but never apply it in emotional moments. Knowledge without practice collapses under pressure. Stoicism also demands silence at times. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every disagreement requires explanation. In a world addicted to reacting, restraint feels unnatural. It fails when someone confuses calmness with weakness. Stoicism teaches controlled power. You do not need to be loud to be strong. Another reason is comparison. Stoicism reduces comparison because it centers on personal virtue. If you are constantly measuring yourself against others, you are still externally driven. Stoicism also requires forgiveness. Holding grudges poisons your own mind. But forgiveness is difficult, especially when pride is involved. It fails when pride dominates growth. If you cannot admit you were wrong, you cannot evolve. Stoicism demands that you master your speech. Fewer words, clear intention, honest expression. Many overlook this discipline, yet speech reveals inner control. It also challenges your consumption. What you watch, read, and listen to shapes your thoughts. A chaotic mind cannot produce stoic calm. Another reason it fails is lack of mentorship or structured study. Stoicism is deep. Without study and guidance, people reduce it to slogans. Ultimately, Stoicism fails when treated like a quick remedy instead of a lifelong standard. It is not a trend. It is not an aesthetic. It is a framework for living with strength, clarity, and virtue. If you are serious about mastering yourself instead of just feeling motivated for a moment, this channel is for you. Here, we go deeper than surface-level advice. We build discipline that lasts. We develop character that cannot be shaken. Subscribe to this channel for more powerful Stoic lessons that will challenge your mindset and sharpen your discipline. Real strength is built quietly. Real growth is earned daily. Stay disciplined. Stoicism fails when it is consumed as inspiration instead of practiced as discipline. Self-help is often about emotional elevation. It gives you a surge of motivation that fades within hours. Stoicism was never designed to give you a rush. It was designed to rewire how you interpret reality. That is slower, more uncomfortable, and far less glamorous. If someone approaches Stoicism expecting to feel better quickly, they misunderstand its function. Stoicism does not aim to change your feelings first. It aims to change your judgments. And when your judgments change, your emotions follow. One of the deepest misunderstandings is the idea that Stoicism is about suppressing emotion. Suppression is force. It is pushing anger down while it burns inside. Stoicism, however, teaches examination. When anger rises, you do not crush it, you question it. You ask, what belief is causing this anger? What expectation did I have that reality did not meet? By tracing emotion back to judgment, Stoicism addresses the root instead of the symptom. Self-help often treats symptoms. Stoicism investigates causes. Another reason Stoicism fails is because people separate it from virtue. Ancient Stoicism was not just mental toughness. It was moral philosophy. Courage without justice becomes aggression. Discipline without wisdom becomes rigidity. Detachment without compassion becomes coldness. When people strip Stoicism of its ethical core and keep only the be unbothered attitude, they distort it. The philosophy was built around becoming a good human being, not just a resilient one. Stoicism also demands a radical shift in how you define success. Modern self-help teaches you to measure progress externally. Income, physique, influence, recognition. Stoicism redirects the focus inward. Did you act with integrity today? Did you control your impulses? Did you respond wisely under pressure? These are invisible victories. They cannot be posted or displayed. Because they are invisible, many people abandon them. They crave visible proof of growth. Stoicism asks you to value internal order more than external applause. Another deeper issue is control. Many people intellectually understand the idea of focusing on what they can control. But in emotional moments, they forget. Stoicism is not about knowing the principle. It is about training your nervous system to pause before reacting. That pause is the battlefield. When insulted, the instinct is immediate defense. Stoicism trains you to insert space between stimulus and response. That space is power. Without daily practice, that space disappears under pressure. Stoicism also fails when people underestimate the role of preparation. The philosophy teaches negative visualization, imagining loss, hardship, rejection. Not to become pessimistic, but to reduce shock when adversity arrives. Self-help often encourages constant positivity. Stoicism prepares you for difficulty so you are not emotionally destroyed when it comes. When people skip this preparation, real hardship overwhelms them, and they conclude the philosophy does not work. There is also the discomfort of accountability. Stoicism removes the comfort of blaming circumstances for your internal state. It acknowledges injustice exists. It acknowledges pain is real. But it still asks, how will you respond? That question is heavy. It removes excuses. Self-help sometimes comforts. Stoicism confronts. And many prefer comfort over confrontation. Another deep failure happens in relationships. Some adopt Stoicism and become emotionally distant, believing attachment equals weakness. True Stoicism does not reject connection. It teaches you to love without clinging, to care without losing yourself, to accept that people are mortal and imperfect. When people confuse detachment with indifference, they damage relationships and blame Stoicism instead of their misunderstanding. Stoicism also demands long-term consistency. Character is built through repetition. A single calm response does not make you disciplined. A single journal entry does not make you reflective. Self-help thrives on novelty. Stoicism thrives on repetition. Repetition is boring, but repetition builds identity. When someone quits because it feels repetitive, they abandon the very mechanism that creates transformation. Another deeper layer is ego. Many approach Stoicism to feel superior. They want to be the calmest person in the room, the least emotional, the most composed. But if calmness feeds your ego, it is fragile. The first real challenge will expose its. Stoicism teaches humility because it recognizes how easily the mind can be disturbed. It encourages constant self-correction, not self-glorification. Stoicism also fails when it is disconnected from action. Reflection without action becomes overthinking. Acceptance without effort becomes stagnation. The philosophy emphasizes fulfilling your role in society. That means working diligently, contributing meaningfully, acting justly. If someone uses Stoicism as a reason to withdraw from effort, they contradict its essence. Another overlooked depth is voluntary discomfort. Stoicism trains resilience by choosing small hardships. Waking early, exercising discipline, limiting indulgence. This builds confidence in your ability to endure. Self-help often promises optimization and ease. Stoicism respects struggle because struggle reveals character. Without deliberate discomfort, resilience remains theoretical. Stoicism also confronts mortality. It reminds you that life is temporary. This is not meant to create fear. It is meant to sharpen focus. When you remember time is limited, trivial distractions lose power. Self-help often speaks about goals. Stoicism speaks about the urgency of living virtuously now. When people ignore this existential foundation, they miss its intensity. Another reason Stoicism fails is impatience with internal progress. You may still feel anger. You may still feel envy. Stoicism does not promise emotional extinction. It promises improved governance of the mind. Growth is measured by recovery time. How quickly do you return to clarity after disturbance? That subtle metric is often ignored. At its deepest level, Stoicism is about alignment with reality. Reality does not bend to preference. It unfolds according to forces beyond individual control. Suffering intensifies when we demand reality to match our expectations. Stoicism reduces suffering by adjusting expectation to match reality. This is not surrender. It is strategic alignment. When someone refuses to release unrealistic expectations, frustration becomes constant. Stoicism ultimately fails as self-help because self-help is often consumption. Stoicism is construction. It builds an internal framework that supports you during chaos. Frameworks are built slowly. They require study, reflection, correction, humility, and time. If you are tired of surface-level motivation and ready for real internal strength, this channel is for you. Here, we do not chase temporary hype. We build permanent discipline. We study deeply. We apply consistently. We sharpen the mind through truth, not comfort. Subscribe to this channel if you want to master your reactions, strengthen your character, and build a mindset that remains steady under pressure. True Stoicism is not about appearing strong. It is about becoming unshakable from within.